So if you want to sign more premium corporate clients, stop using the language, the words, the phrases you've been taught to use to sound professional. Mic drop. Because it kills your sales. And I will explain why that is and what to do instead in a moment. But first, before we dive in, I want to quickly remind you by but first, before we dive in, let's quickly look at what do we actually mean by premium corporate clients? Because when I say corporate, what I mean are organizations that are bigger than small local businesses. So when I talk about corporate clients, they're not your local shops or small 1 to 20 and 1 to 50 employee sized firms. Corporates have typically a lot of employees in multiple departments. They can be for profit, not for profit organizations, educational institutions, partnerships, even government agencies can fall under what I call corporate, under this broad definition of corporate for our purposes. But what makes them premium? Because just being large doesn't necessarily make them premium. It's not about the size. It's not even about the brand, although it is extremely nice to work with some well-known brands. Corporates become premium when they recognize, when they understand the value of your work, when they understand how your genius can transform their teams and people and their business, and when they're ready to pay for that transformation. Now, like pay you right now, and ideally on an ongoing fashion, so hire you again and again. Because that means they're premium when they're not after a quick tick box exercise, when they want real results, when they care deeply about those results. That often means that actually the buyers for your offers are not in the obvious places you've been told to look, like HR or L&D. And I have spoken about where you can find the real buyers for your offers, the buyers that are often much quicker off the mark to say, yes, we need to hire you. I've spoken about that elsewhere. So if you want to know more, drop a comment below saying link and I'll share where you can find that information. The curious fact is that actually, sometimes you can have a premium corporate client and a lousy one, somebody who would be a lousy client in the same organization. But that's a story for another time. So, why does sounding professional kill your sales to those premium buyers? To make sense of that, you have to understand how corporates buy services. I've been on both sides of the table as a former CFO and Big Four consultant. I used to be in boardrooms and I used to sign off contracts. And now, as an individual corporate consultant myself, partnering with the likes of Amazon and Zoom and so on, I know what it's like to sell to those corporates. We don't have time to go into full ins and outs of the typical corporate buying process. That's what we cover in some of my paid programs. But the most important thing to take away is that corporates buy from conversations, meaning no matter how fancy your website, no matter how clever your LinkedIn profile, they will not buy by clicking a button. They will want to have a conversation with you, at least one. Oftentimes, they will want several conversations. And that is why your messaging is so important, because conversations thrive on good messaging. By the way, by messaging, I don't mean just emails, DMs, or whatever is written on your website. Messaging is really all the forms and formats in which you position yourself and your work. Messaging is what explains what you do and why it matters to your client. That is the reason why messaging, good messaging, underpins everything in relation to your business. And for example, a client of mine, she used her amazing messaging, she's such a genius at it, to turn even a casual chat on a train, literally on a train, into a 5-figure project because she knows how to use incredible messaging. And what makes messaging incredible? Well, incredible messaging does two things. It clearly explains what you do, and that's obviously important, but it also creates a connection. It also creates a connection. And this latter part is often overlooked when people think about messaging. And it's also the reason why trying to sound professionally actually undermines your sales efforts. Because when you focus on explaining your work using what you've been told is the right language, or maybe what you've seen as the professional language, when you do that, you strip out everything that makes your work unique. You strip out the specifics that allow leaders to identify with, the specifics, that the scenarios that they can see themselves in. It removes your unique points of view, the very points that set you apart from all the other consultants. And it removes you from being different to all the things that they have tried before. So you end up sounding like everyone else and like what they've already tried. At best, that might get them to respond with, oh yeah, sounds interesting, send me a one-pager so I can send it to HR. We all know what happens from there, right? So your goal for your messaging has to be about so much more than just explaining what you do. Your goal has to be about creating a connection. And you do that by making your messaging about them, not you. That means you put your work into the context of their goals and their priorities, the context of the outcomes that they're looking for, that they're under pressure for, and in the context of what they've tried before, where they've seen the blockers, and even in the context of their blind spots. You have to highlight their blind spots, because these are the 3 mistakes that I see over and over again when coaches try to secure more premium corporate clients. And avoiding these mistakes, fixing these mistakes, is exactly how in my business we book 1 to 3 sales meetings for 30 to 50k projects anytime we want, every week when we want. Mistake number 1, talking about your method, your methodology, your approach, instead of what changes in the daily work life of your clients and in their big goals when they work for you. Yes, it needs to be the 2. Mistake number 2 is watering down your opinion and your controversial viewpoints because you want to fit into that professional image. Don't do that. And mistake number 3, really big one, is adding fluff and abstraction instead of getting highly specific in who you are and what your offer does. Because fixing this is how you sign contracts, how you attract sales meetings and convert them into contracts. That's exactly what my client did when she got hired for her highest 5-figure after just 2 calls with a client. So let me give you a little example of what that actually looks like. So the first example I want to share is one everybody asks about, is what do I say when I'm asked, what do you do? You see, it's that kind of thing that you answer at networking situations or so. And many people come back to saying things like, oh, I support organizations with leadership and development and with culture change. Now, flip that around. Turn that into, I help leaders install the decision habits that are speeding up execution and maintain the momentum. How much more powerful is that, right? How much more specific? Or when you feel like hiding your opinion, again, it's something that I see a lot of people do, is where they say, oh, well, to work out exactly how I can help you, we need to do some surveys and we need to take a baseline temperature, that's far too vague. That does not give your client any idea. So instead, use things like, what I've seen is when the decision process stays vague, nothing moves. So we start by making the decision path obvious. And then there is the credibility fluff that I say, where people say, I'm certified X, I'm trained in Y, I have Z years of experience, yada, yada, yada. All of that's nice, all of that's good, but try this. Here is what my work changes in practice. Leaders make faster calls, teams start making decisions, and delivery outcomes become consistent. I have X number of years experience in delivering exactly that with a unique methodology. So see the difference? If you do nothing else from today, stop trying to sound so professional and be specific about what changes because of you and your work, because that creates instant traction and makes premium buyers want to talk to you. If you want me to show you how to build that into every message you send, every conversations you have, that's exactly what Meeting Magnet 2.0 is built for. You get the full messaging system that I use to turn contact into corporate meetings and that my clients use to get booked out with corporates. And if you already know that you want the fastest route and you want me to do the work with you, then drop a DM, drop an email to find out about my VIP packages. Hope you love this, and I can't wait to be celebrating your successes with you.